Weißenoher Klosterbraueri Bonator.
And remember, life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. This is a bottle of Bonator Doppelbock, and this comes from Bavaria, and it's one of them beers, or one of them styles of beers that I get every now and again, and every time I get it I'm reminded just how good this style of beer is. Now, if you like dark beer, if you like strong beer, if you like your Belgian doubles, if you like your English old ale, you are going to love this. For me, I think this is the pinnacle of dark beer brewing, certainly in Germany, in my opinion. The Eisbock could potentially be a better style, but that's very intense. I think this is just, well, for me, I'd go as far as to say it's probably one of my favourite styles of beer of all time. If you're not sure what a Doppelbock is, it is a dark beer, bottom fermented dark beer brewed in Germany, or originating from Germany, that has a very high ABV. It's got very fruity flavours, quite malt forward. The hops don't really make an appearance in there. Now and again you get various subtle flavours like spice and almond and that type of thing, but for me it is just a taste explosion, and I really do like this style of beer. Now, the name Bonator, I've gone through this a load of times. If you look at any of my reviews of Doppelbocks, I sort of go into the name and how it came about, and the reason why the suffix ATOR is used. That's come from Paulaner, who have patented the name Salvator. Now, before this was called Doppelbock, it was called Salvator. That was the name, and it had very strong connections to monastic brewing. Now, this obviously is a monastery, or Klosterbraueri as it's known in Germany, and Benedictine monks used to brew this stuff, and they would drink it during the Catholic festival of Lent. If you're not sure what Lent is, it is the fasting period of the Catholic calendar, whereby years ago monks would fast and only survive on beer or the ale that they brewed. Now, these Benedictine monks were quite inventive, and they thought, if we're going to fast, then let's brew a beer that will give us all our vitamins and minerals, and they came up with Doppelbock, and it tasted really good. And other monastic orders started getting the ump with them a bit, because they tried to imply that they weren't fasting properly by drinking Doppelbock because it tasted so good. So very cleverly, the Benedictine monks sent some to Rome for the Pope's approval. However, they knew that the beer would spoil on the way. Obviously they didn't have the preservatives, and the storage facilities weren't what they are today. There was no refrigeration, obviously, and it took a long time to get to Rome, and by the time it did, it had spoiled. It had gone very sour, obviously, with what would have been the oxidisation would have caused it to go very sour. The Pope tasted it. He said it's absolutely disgusting, and anybody who drinks it is a true penitent. Penitent is obviously somebody who's repentant for their sins. So he allowed them to drink it, and of course they weren't drinking the sour crap, they were drinking stuff like this. So very clever on their part, bit snaky, but they didn't break the law. So that's where Doppelbock originates from, and it's, as I say, it's got very strong connections to monastic brewers. But it's not just monastic brewers who brew it. Now in Germany it's quite popular. And I had some the other night, and I was talking to a German mate, And I was saying I had a bit of a hangover, and he said to me, what were you drinking? And I said, well, I had a couple of Doppelbocks, an Eisbock, and a few cans of Flensburger. And he was horrified. He says, you do not mix beers when you are drinking Doppelbock or any Bock beer. Certainly not Eisbock. The Eisbock I was drinking was from Schneider Weiss. It was 12%, and it's really strong. And this stuff is 8.5, so that will give you the idea of the ABV on these type of beers. But he did make a point of saying to me, do not mix your beers because you will have the hangover from hell. And it's suffice to say, I did have a bit of a hangover, but there you go. Anyway, let's quickly go into the brewery a little bit. They can claim to actually have some connection to a monastery. This was based in a place called Forchheim in Germany, and that went back to, they say it went back to 1050 when the Benedictine order was founded. However, the actual monastery was sold and torn down, and by 1850 there was only a couple of buildings left. However, on that land they did build a church, and some of the old buildings that remained, there weren't many, that's what is the modern day cafe and the beer hall and the brewery. In 1943 they had to close down because of the war. Obviously there was supply shortages all over Germany, and that's more or less put an end to them, and only recently they've come back and they've started brewing beer. Never had one from them before. Quite hard to get hold of. I had to get this from a shop up north. I'll tell you exactly how much this cost. I normally do this at the end of the video, but I might as well do it now before I forget. I got this from the House of Trembling Madness. Not sure whether you know, very good beer shop. I'm not sponsored by them. I had to pay for everything here. And that was the one I tried the other day, the Weininger Impulsator Doppelbock. That was fantastic. That got a 10 out of 10. That was an absolutely fantastic beer. I really do recommend that. This stuff was £3.80. Now, I've seen Doppelbocks and Eisbocks being brewed by craft brewers for a hell of a lot more than that, and you get less. I saw an Eisbock. Now, bear in mind, that Eisbock that I bought the other day, I will tell you how much that was. 1 second. Where is it now? Eisbock, Schneider Weiss, Eisbock, Schneider Weiss Aventius. That was what it was. That was £4.25. There was a craft brewer in Walthamstow, in London, where I used to live, East London actually, and they are charging nearly £8 for a 330ml bottle, which I think is taking the piss. There you go. That's just me. Let's get this beer investigated. Right, 8.5%, 500ml bottle. No, sorry, I do lie. It's 8%. It's 8. On their website it says 8.5. Well, fucking, am I have to have a word with him? And this is a Doppelbock, as I've just mentioned. There is a look at the label. Make a note of that. I really do recommend you hunt these beers down, because some of these have been absolutely fantastic. As I said, that Weininger, very hard to get hold of, but if you can get hold of it, it's a fucking great Doppelbock if you like that style of beer. So it is, if you're into your beer, and I'm assuming you are if you're watching this channel, it's worth checking them out. Check out that House of Trembling Madness. Very good service from them. And they also give me this, which was a bit strange. It's a fucking Vimto chewy bar. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll eat that when my teeth are up to it. Let's get this beer open and investigate. Right, one for the collection. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but when I drink German beer, I start putting on a German accent. Now, for some reason, I've got an headache at the moment, but because I like Doppelbock so much, God, I can smell that from here. I'm going to drink this. This is a massive thing with Doppelbock. It's, as soon as you pour it out, the aromas just come charging at you, and it's sweet fruit. That's what you normally get, and it's no different here. Very sweet, date, fig, that type of dark fruit, plum as well, damson, blackcurrant. There's a little hint of dark chocolate on there coming from the malt, the roasted malt. There's a sweetness on it as well. It just smells amazing. Really is. That's why I love this stuff. Now it's normally filtered, so you don't get much residue in there. Pour it into this glass. This is as good a glass as any to drink Doppelbock from. Look at that, that looks absolutely amazing. That is a dark chestnut colour. Oh, the smell is just absolutely amazing. There's a little touch of coffee on there. It's not big, but I am getting that. And that, again, there's a nuttiness to this as well. I wasn't getting that with the Weininger stuff, but it's big on this. It's almost like a not walnut. What are them Brazil nuts? It's like that. If you can imagine intense Brazil nuts, that's the sort of nutty aroma that I'm getting. Oh, it just smells great. Let's dive in. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. Oh, this is good. Oh, fuck me, this is brilliant. This is fantastic stuff. Oh, that is good. Now, I'm going to compare this to the Weininger because they come from quite small breweries. Beers are quite similar, and no, I'll save that to the end. This, even though it's the same style, has got different flavours. The Weininger stuff was really heavy on the dark fruit. This has got a little bit more emphasis on the malt because I'm getting real roasted malt type flavours, if you can imagine that, like toffee and chocolate malt. But there's also a nuttiness to this as well, which I tend to get from the Alt-Bayerisch Dunkel, and it's what makes it one of my favourite Dunkel lagers or dark beers from Bavaria, and I'm being put in mind of it from this. There is a hint of ethanol on this, which I wasn't getting on the Weininger, but it's nice. It adds to the flavour. And there's a very, it's like a biscuity type, bready type, long finish, which is mixed with fruit, like raisins, sultanas, dates, figs, you know, that type of dark fruit. But it's absolutely amazing. It's nice and full-bodied as well. Mouthfeel is great. Oh, this is an absolute fucking winner. Now, I thought the Weininger was going to give the Munich 6, because they, to be honest, I think they do the Hackeshaw and the Löwenbräu Triumphator, and also the Tuka stuff as well from Nuremberg. That's really good, the Bayervater. But these little breweries are really surprising me. That's two I've had, and they've been absolutely world class. Oh. Do you know what's really annoying me at the moment? And it's annoying me, but it's also giving me a little bit of comfort. This beer style is so underrated, and I guarantee you, if I was to introduce this to a lot of IPA drinkers, I'm sure they would change their drinking habits. Because I think if you don't like this, then I know it's all subjective and it's all taste, but to me this style of beer really is the pinnacle of good brewing. And yeah, people talk about Maybocks and Bock beers in general, Weizenbocks, but I think Doppelbock for me is probably, Doppelbocks and Dunkels are probably my favourite styles of German beer. And this is a fucking absolute belter of a beer, this is. It's just beautiful. It just tastes clean, tastes natural, and it's full of flavour. It really is. And you know, when I drink this, I think I'm getting a better beer. In my opinion, I'm getting a better tasting beer than one of them American style IPAs for less money. But the flavour intensity is equal, if not bigger, than some of your double dry hopped IPAs, etc. Don't get me wrong, they've got their place, and I don't mind them. They're quite nice. But if it's a toss up between this and an American style IPA, well, this is just going to win all day long. It really has got intense flavours, but where the IPAs are going for it with the hops, this is just balanced and moderate, but with big flavours, if you know what I mean. And balanced and moderate with big flavours. Well, that doesn't really make sense, does it? It's certainly balanced, in my opinion. I am getting, you know, a taste of all the ingredients, but I think it's an underrated. I really do. I really think it's an underrated style of beer, and it's a shame. But I think if you know how good it is, sometimes you don't really want to share that secret. Oh, this stuff is just—it's so Moorish, and at 8%, that's how much I've got. That was a whole pint a minute ago. That's how good it is, and I'm going to have to put it down because I'm just going to keep drinking and drinking that. This is amazing stuff. So what's the verdict on Klosterbraueri, or Weißenoher Klosterbraueri Bonator, to give it its correct title? Yeah, I mean, I tried the Weininger stuff the other day, and I haven't had a Doppelbock in a while, and I thought it was just me that, because I hadn't had that style in a while, I couldn't get hold of them, to be honest. I had tried everywhere, it's sold out, but then I found this House of Trembling Madness, and they had quite a few. And I bought two of them. Sadly, this is the last one. But I thought it was because I hadn't tried it for a while that's why it was tasting so good. But they really are two belters, and this one is. But they taste different. There are different flavours. The emphasis on the Weininger is fruit. This is more on the malt, on the roasted malt, the nutty type flavours. Don't be wrong, there is the fruit in there. That's definitely there, and you can get it on the finish. But this is more malty. The other one was, as I say, has a bit more emphasis on the fruit. But for me, this is an absolute winner. It really is fantastic. I defy anyone who knows beer or who likes beer to say that that is bad. I can't think of anything bad to say about it. There is nothing in there that's bad, apart from the hangover. If you drink too much of them, it's going to be a hefty hangover. And the Germans don't care. You know, the Belgians, when they give you an 8% beer, they give you a 330ml bottle. The Germans, fuck it, have it. And I suppose that's why it's not popular over here. Can you imagine people drinking beer as good as this at 8%? It would be absolute fucking carnage. It really would. So there you go. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. It thoroughly deserves it. It's a solid 10 out of 10. And it's up there, in my opinion, with the best of them. I think if you get Doppelbock right, and don't be wrong, I have had a couple of bad ones, but if you get it right, then it really is fantastic. And as I say, if you're a fan of the Belgian double style, the Belgian quadruple style even, and the English old ale, then you are going to absolutely love this. And that's why I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. That's why I'm recommending it. And that's why I'm saying get onto the House of Trembling Madness. Or should I? I should say no, don't get on there. This is terrible, because if you do, I won't be able to get any more of it. But there you go. Highly recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.